Okay, so we can all agree it's been a weird Premier League season, from Liverpool being unbeaten only to be beaten by Watford, and for Leicester City to beat Southampton 9-0. This season has been weird, and by far the weirdest thing that happened this season is the fact that it did not even finish. And yet we can still look at the best performing players so far this season. That's why I will be talking about my team of the season so far in the Premier League. Hey everyone, it is Finya, that is FYNN. As I said, we will be talking about my team of the season in the Premier League so far with the matches that have been played if the season ended right now. Now, how we are going to do this is we're going to be talking about the initial 11 players that are in the starting lineup, and then I'll talk about the substitutes as we go along. And yeah, I hope you end up enjoying it, and this is going to offend a lot of people because I know a lot of people's favorite players are going to be left out. I'll sleep with one eye open, don't you stress. We start in the goalkeeper position, which by the way, I asked people on Reddit, on the Premier League Reddit, who they think the best goalkeeper has been so far this season in the Premier League. My God, every goalkeeper under the sun was mentioned. And you know what? I mean, I saw 1,000,001 people say like Gaeta from Crystal Palace, which by the way, everyone who said Gaeta had a Crystal Palace badge next to their name, which, nice try. I see you being biased over there. But yeah, at the end of the day, Dubravka was also mentioned quite a lot, which yes, guys, I know these goalkeepers made lots of saves, but that doesn't necessarily make them the best goalkeepers in the world. I also saw Leno get mentioned a lot, because he saved Arsenal, which by the way, I really want to put him in the squad, but at the end of the day, there were better goalkeepers than him. I also got lots of people saying the West Ham goalkeeper for keeping clean sheet against Chelsea, which in that case, there would be a lot of goalkeepers in team of the season if that was the case. The starting goalkeeper in this list, to me, 100% has to be Dean Henderson, because I, compare reality to expectation. That sounds a lot more philosophical than it's meant to. Dean Henderson, I expected Sheffield United to be last on the table at this point of the season. 20th, I expected them to go down. But no, they've spent a large portion of the season in the Europa League / Champions League spot because they've been super strong and Dean Henderson has helped them out majorly. So the fact that I expected them to be 20th and now they're so high up on the table, and Dean Henderson tied with the most clean sheets in the Premier League goalkeeper-wise, that just proves how important he has been to them. And I'm not even saying that because he's a Man United loanee. I genuinely think Dean Henderson has been outstanding for Sheffield United and does deserve that starting lineup position. The backup goalkeeper, as I said, there were so many goalkeepers that could have put there. Even someone like Schmeichel I originally put in there, and I saw someone put De Gea, which he made a few too many mistakes in my opinion. But yeah, the one I have to go with is ALISSON, which I know lots of people could say, no, but how could you do that? He missed like a third of the season. Exactly, he missed a third of the season and yet is still tied with the most clean sheets in the Premier League. That shows how big of an impact he can have, how big of a comeback he can have. I think Alisson's the best goalkeeper in the world, and the fact that he was able to catch up after missing a third of the season, I think Alisson should at least be the backup goalkeeper, if not the starting one. We get into the defense, and guys, I'm just going to give you a tiny heads up as we go through this list, because I'm not going to lie, there are a lot of Liverpool players on this team, and that is obvious why. I mean, they were unbeaten the entire season, except for the fact that they lost to Watford. That's still kind of funny, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, an incredible season in the Premier League for them. But you know what, funnily enough, I wouldn't say that they played well this season compared to last season, and I'm sure Liverpool fans agree with me. Although they did win almost every single game, at the end of the day, I think they scraped a lot of wins. But you know what, first right back in this list is going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think he had an amazing season as a fullback to get 2 goals and 12 assists. I think he is the perfect modern day fullback because he has that great kind of, combination of defense and attack, and he is the best attacking fullback in the world, if not the best right back in the world, period. I think he is very, very good at what he does and does deserve that main right back position. I think players that were very close is going to be Pereira from Leicester City and Wan-Bissaka. But you know what? The sub one that I have put in is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and that's purely because, let's be honest, FIFA don't like Leicester City. So you know what? I'm going to put Wan-Bissaka there, and that's not taking anything away from Wan-Bissaka. At the end of the day, Wan-Bissaka is probably the best defensive right back in the world because, I mean, his numbers are incredible, and a one-on-one, he's winning that every day. First centre-back in this list is going to be Virgil van Dijk, and if you compare him to what he was last season, look, almost every aspect is lower. Although the season hasn't finished, maybe he could have achieved that. Maybe I'm wrong. That happens more often than I would like to admit. But yeah, Virgil van Dijk, not as good as last season, but look, even in his worst season in the Premier League, he's probably still the best in the Premier League. I mean, he didn't have that same competition as Laporte last season from City, because Laporte obviously was injured, so Virgil van Dijk has to be the #1 centre-back in this list. I mean, 7 through balls for centre-back is pretty incredible, along with 4 goals. I mean, guys, he is 1 goal away for having 20 Premier League goals in total. Pretty good for a centre-back, but Virgil van Dijk I have to put in this list. Although not as good as last season, still pretty damn good. Second centre-back on this list is going to be SOYUNCU, you know. You know, that's that centre-back from Leicester City, the Turkish one. I was either going to choose him or Evans in the starting lineup, and I think SOYUNCU is very good. Although, as I said, sounds like, you know, another reason to extend quarantine length because it sounds like a sneeze. But yeah, 10 clean sheets, had a very good season for Leicester City. Over 120 clearances, over 80 aerial battles won. I think SOYUNCU is an absolute beast, and I did not expect him to replace Slabhead at Leicester City so well. Last starting defender is going to be Robertson in that left back position, which I don't know if he had that good a season overall. 1 goal and 7 assists is still very good for a modern day fullback, and he's really, you know, evolutionizing that kind of left back position, you know. But at the end of the day, I think he had a very good season. As I said, the whole Liverpool squad, I don't know if they were as good as last season, but they will get a lot of credit for almost being invincible this season. Robertson, at the end of the day, his tackling's very good. He wasn't as good as Trent this season, but you know, at best left back in the league, in my opinion. The last sub that I will mention defense-wise is going to be Evans. As I said, I was either going to choose him or SOYUNCU in the starting lineup. I chose SOYUNCU. It only makes sense that I put Evans on the bench. I wanted to put Harry Maguire, but in all fairness, if you compare 2 and 2, or 1 and 1 rather, it is going to be Evans in the lead, because just overall he had a better season than Maguire, and Maguire, in my opinion, only really showed true power and true greatness when it came to the Europa League. I do think Evans did better. Premier League specific, his numbers were just better, and I almost put Evans in the starting lineup, which just proves how good he was. I mean, he's an ex-Manchester United boy, so I'm still somewhat happy with that. So guys, that is all the defense. Those are the starting defenders, and then obviously the bench there on the side. Let's get into the midfield. Okay, so the first midfielder, I mean, it has to be the Ginger Ninja, everyone's favorite, Ron Weasley. Of course, I've made that joke too many times. It is going to be Kevin De Bruyne, who's, I mean, once again, his numbers are always outstanding. 8 goals and 16 assists, which that's his 3rd season at Manchester City with more than 15 assists. I mean, this man is unstoppable, best attacking midfielder in the world. No matter the best attacking midfielder in the Premier League, nothing's ever going to stop him. And I mean, a huge impact last season was he was injured. He didn't get to play that much. But you know what? This season, he played fully. And I mean, highlight of the season had to be when he slipped over the ball, right? Second midfielder. Now guys, midfield, I don't know, there was quite a lot of competition, but as I said, I asked on Reddit, so lots of these are your opinions, so it's not all just me being biased. Oh well, this one definitely not being me being biased, it's your opinions. It is Henderson from Liverpool, which I don't know, Henderson didn't have the best season of all time. 3 goals, 5 assists and 8 clean sheets. As I said, not the best season of all time, although the season didn't even finish. But I mean, his improvement was incredible, and I put him in the starting lineup mainly because he is like the main contender for player of the season. You always get talks about that. It's been like absolutely everywhere. And I think almost rightly so, because as a leadership point of view, he's been the best captain in the Premier League this season, and that almost deserves to put him in a spot in the, you know, Premier League team of the season. The last midfielder in this list, I really wanted to put in Ndidi from Leicester City, but at the end of the day, you know what, I did look at his stats, and I did put Grealish in there, because once again, I'm sorry Leicester City, but FIFA don't like you guys, but Ndidi will be on the bench. I'll get to that in a second. But Grealish had an amazing season, 7 goals and 6 assists for Aston Villa, but the main reason I have put him in there, yes, I know there are players with better stats than that, but it's the fact that on like gloom and doom days at Aston Villa, when everything was dark, the only redeemable factor that they did have was Jack Grealish, and I'm sure Aston Villa fans agree with me on that. On some of their really bad days, the only good thing they had was Jack Grealish. That's why I put him there, because he has single-handedly saved them sometimes, and I think he does deserve to be in the Premier League team of the season. My bench midfielders I have then put, as I said, in Ndidi, which, I mean, his stats have been incredible, and I've put him over Kante in this list, because Kante I really wanted to put in this list, but, I mean, he's been playing almost out of position in a way. I mean, his attacking stats were better than Ndidi, but at the end of the day, Ndidi's stats were better in, like, every aspect defensively, which you kind of want in a defensive midfielder, don't you? I've also put Mahrez from Man City, although he can play winger, I put him in the attacking midfield position, because, you know, let's be honest, FIFA like to do that, or EA like to do that with Eden Hazard. They took him from the wing and put him in the midfield. But yeah, I put Mahrez there because I mean, Mahrez has really stepped up his game big time. With like 10 games left in the Premier League or 8 games left in the Premier League, he has already been better or been at least equal to his stats from last season, which, I mean, if he got a Premier League Team of the Season card last season, he definitely deserves on this season. But there is going to be Mason Mount from Chelsea, which, yes, Chelsea, I know there aren't a lot of players in your team, but I think you guys have done very well overall as a team, but I don't know if there's been any standout stars in my opinion. Defensively, no. Attack-wise, maybe Abraham. But at the end of the day, there have been better attackers than Abraham, although Abraham has been an absolute star. Mason Mount I will put on this list at least because I think he's really shown that he is a top quality midfielder, and I think he does deserve to be in the team of the season. So guys, there are the midfielders on the list, and on the side there are obviously the bench midfielders. Let's get into the attack, which guys, I'm going to get attacked. Going to have to sleep with both eyes open on this one because this is a very controversial one. Okay, so we start off on the wingers, which by the way, guys, there are a lot of strikers and attackers on the bench for this one just because that's what they normally do in the Premier League team of the season. But yeah, first one I have to put is Sadio Mane because at the end of the day, Sadio Mane, 14 goals and 7 assists is very, very good. And I wonder if the season played on, if he could have equaled the season. Maybe it is a bit too far-fetched for him to go from 14 goals to 22 goals in like 8 games. But you know what? Sadio Mane has been a star for Liverpool at the end of the day. I think, as I've said this multiple times, on his day, after Messi and Ronaldo, I think Sadio Mane can be the best attacker in the world. He is that good. He is a game changer in many aspects. The winger, before we get to the striker, is going to be Mo Salah, the Egyptian king, the man who tore my Manchester United heart apart on multiple occasions. He's only scored against us one though, and ooh, that one hurt me the most. But yeah, Salah 16 goals and 6 assists, and that in itself is huge. As I said, Liverpool have really scraped some wins this season that they really shouldn't have almost gotten. But Salah is the one who really did scrape Liverpool. That really did scrape the wins and did save Liverpool's arse on many occasions. So I have to put Salah in this list because I do think he is a world-class attacker, and along with Mane, as I said, right under Ronaldo and Messi in terms of best attacker in the world. And you know what? Who would have thought that Salah did not end up being a one-season wonder like everyone thought? To get to the striker position, before I mention all the other strikers on the bench, and it is going to be, in my opinion, Jamie Vardy. I mean, Jamie Vardy, 19 goals in the Premier League. I mean, I thought Jamie Vardy was done and dusted like a season or two ago, but every season he comes back stronger. And now all I know is to expect, 500 like hat-tricks from him. I'm expecting 40 goals from him next season. Vardy gets better with age. He's like a fine wine, like a cheese. I mean, he just gets better. I mean, 19 goals, as I said, is a great number. 4 assists and 14 of his 19 goals were considered big chance goals, and he's really saved Leicester on multiple occasions. And he is, I think, a very underrated striker and needs to be in this team because he's really just consecutively, season by season, gotten better and better. Now that we can talk about the sub-attackers, it is going to be Aubameyang. No Arsenal player has been in this team or has been mentioned yet, but I will mention Aubameyang because he has saved them multiple times. But he's played the same amount of games this season as Jamie Vardy, but statistically I just think Vardy has been better in many aspects. But Aubameyang has saved Arsenal on many occasions. 17 goals is still extremely good and needs to be in the team of the season, at least on the bench. As I said, the only really other Arsenal player that you could have mentioned is Leno, which just nearly missed out on the squad, and I am sorry for that. Aguero is also on this list because, you know what? I mean, he's broken so many records in the Premier League this season. I mean, most hat-tricks in Premier League history, along with most goals for a foreign player in the Premier League. He has also scored more goals for Manchester City than Wayne Rooney did for Man United, which, I mean, record by record, Aguero gets better and better, and I think at times is still pretty underrated. Although he is a world-class striker, a Premier League great, I think Aguero still deserves to be in the squad. Rashford for Manchester United, which I know lots of people might click off because of that, but you know what? I think if ALISSON can miss like a third of the season and be in the list, I think Rashford can as well because he was on fire for Manchester United, scored amazing goals, saved them on multiple occasions. I think Rashford deserves to be in this list because, I mean, he was on his way to getting 20 goals in the Premier League and for a period of time was at least in the top 3 top scorers in the Premier League. If it wasn't for his injury, I think that he could have reached that 20 goal mark. I mean, who knows? Maybe he wouldn't have, but I think Rashford deserves to be in this list. Third last player is going to be Adama Traore, mostly because he's had such a huge impact for Wolves in the Premier League and on multiple occasions has single-handedly been a hero for Wolves. I mean, we saw that against teams like Manchester City, where Adama Traore almost single-handedly beat them. Adama Traore is an absolute beast, and I have to put him in this list because he's been so strong as an attack in the Premier League for Wolves. The last player on the list is going to be the only Spurs player, but I'm so sorry, Spurs fan, that you guys don't really have anyone else in this team. But you guys have to admit, I mean, spending half the season, like, along with Arsenal in mid-table, you don't really have any stand-up players that really have done super well. The only really good player has been Hugo Lloris, who someone mentioned for the best goalkeeper, which, no, he missed like almost the entire season with injury. But yeah, Son I have to put there because the main man, Harry Kane, was out. Bergwijn only came in halfway through the season. So Son, I mean, statistically the best in terms of goal scoring and assists. Last player on this list is going to be Danny Ings, for the same reason Jack Grealish was in, because the team wasn't doing well, but Ings, just like Grealish for Aston Villa, Ings single-handedly saved Southampton, and I mean, Ings is the reason they're not in the relegation zone. Let's be honest. I mean, he just started goal after goal after goal, and the ex-Liverpool man showed that he can still be a star. Guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope you somewhat agree with my team of the season so far. Who knows? But guys, I hope you have enjoyed it, as I did say. If you want to check out, I did a video on your most unpopular football opinions, I guess, where you guys gave me unpopular football opinions and I elaborated a bit. So click that, it's on the side of the video, whichever side that is, along with my icon to subscribe. Guys, please help me reach 750 subscribers by sharing this video and subscribing yourself. This has been Finn, FYNN, and that is my Premier League team of the season so far. Love every single one of you. Cheers.